We're joined by economist Diana Furchtgott Roth, who served in the Treasury and Transportation Department under President Trump and was the chief economist at the Labor Department under President Bush. Diana, great to have you on this morning. Let's start with those $1,400 stimulus checks. As an economist, what kind of impact will this stimulus money have?
Well, I think for people who need it most, like waiters and people who work in hospitality, it's going to mean a great deal. So that's very important. But for other people who are doing just fine, it's going to sit in their bank account. It's not going to get spent right now. So it's not going to have the same effect. And we need to be targeting the funds at people who need them most.
It's funny, I just got a pitch from somebody saying, you know, they wanted to come on to talk about how people could spend their $1,400 investing in crypto, which seems like it's not really the point of that stimulus money. Should this have been more targeted?
I think, yes, I think it should have been more targeted, and we still have $3 trillion from stimulus bills. There was $3 trillion last year spent on stimulus. Not all that has been spent. So I think, yes, it should have been targeted at these people who need it most. Schools do need money because they need to rearrange their facilities to deal with spacing and people further apart. But not all the money is going to be spent this year or next year for the schools. A lot of it's going to be spent in the out years. And it's the same with these stimulus checks. It's not targeted at people who need it most.
When we look at the employment picture here in the United States, jobs are slowly coming back, but we're still talking about nearly 10 million people around who are still out of work. Do you think the right move here was adding to the benefits, the enhanced unemployment benefits for people who are out of work? How best should we be dealing with these people who are long-term now unemployed?
Some people definitely need the benefits, but there are others who are making more with the unemployment benefits than they would back at the workplace. And we hear anecdotally about employers finding it difficult to find people to work. And so that means that unemployment benefits, expanded unemployment benefits, are keeping some people out of the workforce longer. We need to be getting them back on the job.
I also want to talk about what could potentially be coming next. Here are some measures that are currently under consideration by President Biden in his new tax plan. According to Bloomberg, he wants to raise the corporate tax rate to 28% from 21%, raising the income tax rate on individuals earning more than $400,000 a year, also expand the estate taxes reach, higher capital gains tax rate for individuals earning at least $1 million a year. If all or most of these are included in the tax bill, it would be the first major tax hike since 1996. What do you think? Do we need this? The country has a major deficit right now, or are you concerned that this could halt our economic recovery?
We need to decide what state the economy is in. So we were just told that the economy is in a terrible state and that we need a $1.9 trillion stimulus package. So if it's in a terrible state, we don't want to be raising taxes. And raising taxes, just take the corporate tax going up to 28%. That's way above the OECD average of 24%. That's going to suck investment out of the country. It's going to delay investment because the returns on old investment are going to be much higher than the return on new investment because of the tax. So we've just been told we have a major problem. The last thing we do need right now is to be raising taxes to slow the economy.
There's a lot of talk that we are in a K-shaped recovery, which means people who are doing well are doing even better than they were doing, and the poor, unfortunately, getting poorer. So does it make sense to tax the people at the top since they are doing so well?
So funds that are taxed, whether it's investment funds or people at the top, they're not used. So people are not going to be creating jobs. Companies won't be able to be creating jobs. Small businesses, which are taxed at the individual rate, will not be creating jobs. And that means fewer jobs for the people who need it. The last thing we need right now for lower income people who need jobs is to be taxing people at the top who create those jobs. That's not what we need right now.
I want to also talk about the Transportation Department. I know you were part of that department under President Trump. Now Secretary Pete Buttigieg leading the Department of Transportation. They're working on a big infrastructure bill. Any advice to him as the Biden administration looks to tackle infrastructure?
Yes, we need to be focusing on a backup for GPS. GPS is something none of us really think very much about because it's free, but it runs our car navigation systems, our Garmin watches for those people who have Garmin watches, precision agriculture. It tells emergency vehicles where to go if there's an accident. GPS is very fragile. We need to be backing it up. And my department, my Office of Research and Technology, put out a report in January about how to do that, how to complement GPS. So before putting more money on roads and infrastructure, we need to figure out how we keep people going where they want to go. That's step number one, back up GPS so it doesn't go down, it doesn't get hacked, it doesn't get spoofed. And it's dependent on these satellites. If there's an electromagnetic storm, if there's some military action, your GPS is going to go down. And that's going to be even worse than the SolarWinds hack was a few months ago.
That is scary. All right.
It is scary.
But really great perspective this morning. Appreciate your insight. Diana Furchtgott Roth, economics professor at George Washington University. Great to have you on.